because of the COVID lockdown remains there. So both Mary Jo and Marianne from our center have had an opportunity to visit with her. Um, Still through the window though, not allow they're not allowing at Nazareth any in-person visits. So she retired in the spring, but there wasn't any opportunity to do a formal send off, any type of celebration, any type of closure for the students. So that's been very challenging, both for the community, but also for me coming on board because there was never any formal transference of responsibility and leadership. So, it's been challenging to walk into this position in the middle of the lockdown, in particular because our students are all, really wanting to have that in-person connection and really thrive from individual and attention and that group dynamic. So we did just start virtual classes in August after we hired on a new program director, Joanna Katsikis. I think I'm pronouncing her last name right. I should be ashamed with my last name not to do that, but she has a background in special ed, specifically with JCPS. She was up at Stoker Elementary for years before coming to St. Mary's. So virtual training right now, and probably not going to reopen in person until either the positivity rate has come down or there's a vaccine. Um, as far as my background, I have been in nonprofit work for 30 years, having started in 1991 after a previous career to that in the travel industry. So, as far as nonprofit work, my main focus in the past has been on program evaluation. So, looking at measurable outcomes for organizations, either the organization I was employed by or outside organizations. I've been on a couple different boards and worked on strategic planning with other nonprofits. So that's my professional background. I landed at St. Mary's after having been the executive director of a small nonprofit in the Portland neighborhood called Choose Well Communities, an organization that works with families who have a parent suffering from substance use disorder. I had 5 years of experience in working with disabilities when I was at the Center for Nonprofit Excellence. No, I was not at the Center for Nonprofit Excellence. Ooh, I was at the Center for Accessible Living. I have a meeting with the Center for Nonprofit Excellence shortly. I was at the Center for Accessible Living for 5 years. So that's my disability background. Yeah, I mean, I feel well equipped in the role as far as administration. There are some challenges because I'm sure, as everyone knows, coming into a very established existing organization as a new staff member in any capacity is challenging, but to be the leader of that organization in particular, there'll be some, I think, challenges and needing to bring people on board to change. So
we all understand following a beloved founder is a very big responsibility. So many of us have been there following. We love pastors and directors and all of those things. So does everybody here know what St. Mary's is? Everybody familiar? Just nod your, okay, good. We don't need to talk about that. Let me suggest for our agenda today, we've got about 42 minutes. I'd like to spend about 10 minutes on talking about our summer project with Lorraine. And then for those of you interested in participating, maybe we will spin that out into another Zoom meeting where we deal with those who are interested in that. And then I'd like to suggest that we spend the rest of the time talking about virtual fundraising. We have a big event. We do a trivia night in February or March for our summer projects. That's not going to happen. And apparently the Swashbuckler Ball is going to dance individually this year. Is that the, I want to hear, we want to hear what you guys are doing with that. And we're all trying to steal ideas on virtual fundraising events. Or maybe we can expand that to virtual events, period. Does that sound like an okay agenda for today? Okay. So Lorraine, let's start with about 12 minutes worth of talk about summer project. Where are we?
Well, and Johnny, hi, I'm Lorraine Lauder, sister Lorraine, but Lorraine's fine either way, with Water with Blessings. So a couple of years ago, approached Jim and started talking about this concept of doing a fundraiser, a street festival with a very strong theme that would be something that a variety of nonprofits could jump into. And hold on, yeah, there's somebody back there. FedEx just came in. That we could do collaboratively together. Thank you. Summer Sweet Main Street is a street festival in 40s style with a vintage car show out on Main Street in Middletown and a dinner dance under a tent on the Baptist Church parking lot, and so a whole swing dance vibe. So very vintage, definitely pitching to a crowd that would be, you know, really drawn to that. One thing that's kind of distinctive about it, I'm sort of sick of going through those slides, so I'm just going to do a quick overview here because we don't want to take all this time, but would be each nonprofit, each participating nonprofit would find their own particular car for the car show, you know, a car owner with a vintage car to put in the car show. And then rather than have booths where you're trying to get people to come stand there and talk to you about your mission, each nonprofit would be out there with their car and able to hand out, you know, whatever they wanted to hand out there, and then solicit votes for their car to win the car show. And votes, of course, being cash, money. But not, when I say cash, I shouldn't have said it that way. It could be a credit card, giving via Venmo or something like that. We'll figure all that out. So there's a pretty good size swing dance community in Louisville. We have former board members who are involved, and that's how that piece came in. And I think there's 3 different groups of those, and one of those is 300 members. So we anticipate fun things like lessons in the street and dancing in the street, but then the dinner dance with a live band. So really excited that we've also got some buy-in or some interest from Commonwealth Bank now. Jim, you want to talk about that? Or
Carrie's the one.
Carrie, yeah, with Carrie. Yeah, I was like, who, wait a minute. You want to talk about that, Carrie? No, you're eating?
Yeah, my Twix. Just hope that they would be invested. They have a strong presence in Middletown. They like community events, how to get their name out, and I like the potential of them. Commonwealth is very charitable. However, they have been charitable to larger nonprofits. And I think this is helping expose them a little bit more to the on the ground grassroots nonprofits that I think haven't gotten a lot of attention from them. So I'm really excited about that, and looking forward to. I don't know exactly what the ask should be, but that might be another thing for us to brainstorm here about what their investment might look like any, because in our Zoom call with Commonwealth, the question was, do we have any sponsorship levels? And we haven't really talked about that yet, but it might be a good thing for us to brainstorm that what seems reasonable. And I think asking over what we think we need is, because they're always going to shake you down.
Well, I think, if we have a follow-up meeting, we need to have, some meetings just devoted to that. I honestly got totally hijacked after that by the hurricanes in Honduras. We're mounting major campaigns for hurricane relief with water filtration in Honduras right now. So I have not thought about this since that meeting, but you're right. We need to lay out some sponsorship levels and start recruiting that. And I think, is it true Spark might be interested in participating in that? Spark Hope? I think a little bit about.
Sorry, Laura and I have talked about it very briefly, but we will revisit it. We have a staff meeting tomorrow and I will put that on the agenda.
And you have the slides?
Yes, I have everything I
Okay,
need.
great.
Yes, thank you.
Great.
And has the date definitely been set?
I think we're pretty set because we have the Baptist parking lot reserved for Saturday, June 19th,
Okay,
which is the Saturday of Father's Day.
okay, got it.
And I'm hoping, I think we can all hope that with the advent of these vaccines, we can really look at that happening. If something all falls through, I'd say, we've laid the groundwork and we do it the next year. Because it's kind of that sweet spot, as Jim keeps reminding us, it's the longest day of the year or close to it. Gives us a beautiful long evening and would be a unique festival that I think would draw a lot of people. There's been a lot of interest from some of all the elder care or elder, housing in the area. So we've got a lot going there. I had talked about trying to bring in I have a great aunt who is the founder of Rosie the Riveter Club. She was a riveter and she's in Birmingham, but I found out yesterday she's 98 now. And so unlikely to be able to import her as her like the greatest generation theme, but I'm sure we have lots of folks in the Louisville area who would love to have that spotlight.
Sherry, has MCC, have you all talked about coming in on that?
Well, it's, we have an interim senior minister. We're hoping to have a offer out for a new senior minister. My communications minister is 12th. So maybe 15.
Yeah.
So didn't quite get the whole event, but then I've talked to a couple of our Sunday school classes that have predominantly, the older 70 crowd. I'm 61, I'm not young, but the older crowd, and they all think it's a lovely idea. We've got a couple of older gentlemen who have antique cars, so I'm kind of, it's not really it's awkward. I'm not able to plan events per se, hence the bottle washing role, but I'm doing some grassroots efforts to get interest into it. So I can't commit to anything right now, but I'm working through some small groups that are very interested. We used to have a group that danced regularly. We used to have dances here at the church. So there are groups that are very interested in the event. So I don't have anything firm yet, but I am working on it. I think it's a lovely idea.
All right, great. Well, we'll put you on the definite maybe list. And so Lorraine, let me say about the chamber, Laura, am I on the agenda for the Thursday meeting this week?
No, but I'll put you on that agenda. I sent the agenda out yesterday, but I can revise it and send a new one out.
If you'll give me 5 minutes or so to the chamber board, even though it's a nonprofit fundraiser, I would love their endorsement, if not their participation. So
I'll take care of it.
Okay,
And
thank
really, the chamber is a nonprofit, right? So
Yeah.
the chamber could be a participating nonprofit.
They could have their piece of the pie.
Mhm.
So Lorraine, can I suggest that we find a time we start meeting separately with these folks who are,
Yeah.
I
Just focus on that.
think you would be interested in, or is it just a little too soon to be asking?
Were you asking me, Jim?
I was asking if you think it's too soon for you to,
No, I would definitely be interested in having St. Mary's participate for sure.
Great.
I mean,
That would be fantastic.
I even have a car in mind.
All right, there you go.
we have a church
That's not getting your car.
duplicate of the car that Kennedy was shot in.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that'd be kind of fun to
That's cool.
have. Okay, well, that's
The
cool.
1936 Studebaker taxi that was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's so cute.
That didn't just happen.
Wow.
All right, so Lorraine and I'll be in touch with you about a Zoom meeting that will deal specifically with that and kind of be putting that leadership team together. Don't you think, Lorraine? Let that.
Yeah. Yeah. And is noon a pretty good time for people, or?
Noon is
that?
Okay, so let me change the conversation a little bit. We've got 30 minutes left to talk about fundraising in the age of COVID. Online events. Joni, now I want you to talk about your Swashbucklers Ball, or what are you doing with it?
So that at this point has been completely canceled. I think that event is one that's hard to transfer into a virtual environment. We do have somebody, I think it was you, Carrie, that had asked at the beginning of the call about the online auction, or maybe that was you, Kara. Yeah, so we have right now an online auction. I have to say that it was sort of thrown together. It was the suggestion of one of our board members. I've done a lot of auction work in my past professional life. I have never done an online auction. And additionally, the participants from our staff kind of still had the mindset of procuring items that were more appropriate for an in-person auction. So from my experience, in this brief time this last week of doing this, I would say that if anybody's going to do an online auction, first of all, we used an online fundraising software program called 32 Auctions, which was very reasonably priced. It was $90 for for the program, and then I think we paid an extra $20 add-on so we could have additional photos. So the $90 is limited to one photo. And then there's all sorts of other features you can add on. I think the $90 that we had, I excluded ads, because I didn't want bidders to see a whole bunch of ads that didn't have anything to do with the auction popping up. It's really simple. The output is really well designed. You can get a list of who's bidding, how much they're bidding. The bids are anonymous. So the bidder only has an ID number. So like right now, people can't see that I'm bidding on items, and I'm bidding on items not to bid them up. I'm bidding them because I want them. But right now we're at $770 raised. We have, I think, just under 40 items in. One of the things that in my reference to people, to current staff, to colleagues thinking in person, is that they put together a lot of gift baskets, and gift baskets don't really translate well online, because if you're throwing a bunch of restaurant gift certificates and prettying it up, but then you're having people bid online, it doesn't have that, it's not generating that same interest as maybe people with a glass of wine walking around a table. So my suggestion would be that as a fundraiser, I think is very viable. I've watched a couple other nonprofits do the auction. One was the Louisville Nature Center. Recently, I think they raised a couple $1,000s. They didn't hit their goal. They met their goal by about 50%. But I do think that as far as output for resources, especially if you are just doing gift certificates, that it's, it is a good bang for the buck as far as generating some income from a resource development perspective. And we haven't really approached any other virtual fundraisers. We probably will. The board didn't have a resource development committee. So in one of the things that I did in coming on board is starting to form committees. And so we have a new resource development committee that's consisting of some board members, and we're hoping to also get outside community members, one or two, involved with that. So I'll just keep everybody posted, as we generate other ideas.
Who else has experience with virtual fundraising? Lorraine, talk to us.
Well, we're working on our first silent auction too. And because this year our Cradles of Christ, which is our big nativity event, is all going online. And we're not honestly anticipating a lot of, we'll see. We'll see. But with the auction, what we did, which you guys might be interested in going forward, because we do a lot of GIS data collection, we asked the company that we worked with, which like maps all our distribution and everything, if they could take that same kind of process and help us build a silent auction platform, because those silent auction platforms are so expensive. And so we are actually testing our silent auction this week, doing like a little cold run, having all our volunteers try it out. It's been a bit of a learning curve for us to learn how to manage it and everything, but we're looping in for the payment. It's just in through our normal online donation process, which is Mobile Cause. So a lot of, that expense in those silent auctions is they're wanting you to use their processing and take all that off the top, and they're charging you per item, and they're charging you per transaction and all this. So we were able to get that set up pretty inexpensively, and that's a bit of an investment too for the future. And this company is, basically giving it to us really cheaply as trial, but they work a lot with nonprofits in GIS data collection. And so they're, I said, I think this would be something else for you to market, is helping nonprofits run silent auctions in a way that's a little more financially viable, especially if you're a small nonprofit. So we have about, I think, 130 items in it. And I hear your pain, Joni, about trying to get people to give things that are a little more online interesting. One of our board members did come up with a great suggestion that she took from one of the high schools, because we do a lot of purchasing on American Express. And so we had some pretty significant points built up, and we were able to get things like a Roomba, a KitchenAid mixer, some bigger items that are, a little more desirable. So it's launching Thanksgiving Day with the idea that people could shop on Black Friday as well for those kinds of things. And then we have a bunch of the gift baskets and stuff and some art items, and, we'll see how it goes. It's only the third year for us to do the whole event at all, so our expectations are low.
How long are you all keeping the auctions open?
I think it's over December 12th, maybe 13th, something like that.
3 weeks.
So 2 weeks. Ours is just over a week, so it's from Saturday to the following Monday. So I think it's about 9 days. One of the challenges that we have is with the bigger items, being able to ship out of state, where if you have like a $75 gift basket, but it's going to cost you $25 to ship. And then, I have a high sensitivity to staff resources, because the time that somebody's spending packaging something up and taking it to UPS in their car and all of that, that's, as far as resources, that time could be spent doing something else. And so some of the items we have designated as for local pickup only. And, you know, in that case, with the COVID lockdown and considerations around, you know, infection, we're probably going to do a table out front where people can drive up, you know, hit the either call in or hit the call button, and then they can pick them up off of the table. But you know, we would love to have more items, but it just, like I said, this is kind of a trial run for us.
Who else has experience with some, we're wanting to do a trivia event. And I know there are virtual trivia nights. Has anybody had experience with that?
I saw somebody doing it by Zoom. I didn't participate, and it wasn't a nonprofit. It was a local establishment here in Germantown. But so I think that Zoom is an option for conducting those. I did see one of the parishes, I think it was Holy Family, maybe on Poplar Level, that was doing an online raffle, like a cash pot. Has anybody done that as far as online gaming?
Yeah, that was a question I had was, you know, how far can we go with this with the gaming commission? What's going to happen with that? So.
Yeah, maybe I can reach out to them. This was something where you bought the tickets, like I think with PayPal or some other mechanism, and then you were assigned, I think I bought 5 for $25, and then alerted, you know, the winners were alerted, but it all went into, you know, like a typical cash pot. I'm assuming that you know, it's following the same standards as far as licensing for gaming licensing.
Harry, you all, what, $50,000-$60,000 at your spring event? What are you all thinking?
It's being tabled right now. I think we're gonna do a wait and see if we end up doing it in the fall when it's safe to put it back on with just a similar to what we normally do. But I was gonna ask Joni and Lorraine if at any point, do you all have a visual that goes with the, you know, I've seen it done where it's live and also where it's pre-packaged where people can kind of go look at it at any time, just to get your mission out there.
In terms of the silent auction?
Yeah, with it, or
it will all be on our website. So there'll be like a link to our website. We actually just built it as a little, I think it's a Google website kind of add on.
And I can put ours in the chat. I mean, I didn't think that it was terribly expensive. It was $110 total.
I'd like to see that.
I mean, the only complaint I have about it is that it took a little bit. Well, first of all, it took a ton of my time. I mean, when you talk about spending, how to spend your time, I enjoy that. So, but it did take a little bit of time to do the upload for the photographs. That was, and taking the photos is again, that's the same thing with the gift basket or large item. It's, you know, you're trying to get a photo of something that's, you know, far more compelling in person. But one of the nice things about the gift cards is that you can use their logos. So you can use, like, if you get we got a gift card from Texas Roadhouse, so you can just, you know, have them, or the Speed Museum. I just put in that link to our auction in the chat, but if you see that, basically the platform is putting in your mission, putting in why you're fundraising at this particular time, and then just loading all of the items, and then the pricing structure, the tiered structure is based on the number of items. And then, as I said, whether you want to do things like exclude ads or increase the number of items. The really nice thing is it does have a donate button. So, you know, a lot of people are like, I don't need any more junk, and, you know, I'm downsizing. Or if they get outbid or simply want to support the organization, they can just go straight to that button and donate.
We need to make sure that's on our site.
I was also worried about trying to procure gift cards from restaurants. I just thought, oh my gosh, they're struggling so much. Is that something that was going to be hard, or did your folks find that it was really not a problem?
We didn't get a lot of declines. The declines that we got were primarily from small, you know, artisans, as an example, people who I've hit up for past auctions that I've been involved with when I've been on boards of directors. You know, those small artists or small stores or galleries are struggling. But someone like, you know, I don't know, Blaze Pizza, you know, they gave us 10 individual gift cards. So I don't know how their PPP money is working, you know, if they are, you know, a lot of it is a balance of, you know, as you know, using a gift card, you're going to bring other people into the organization. My main concern is that a lot of the, you know, businesses, restaurants in particular, are doing curbside only, and it depends on how, you know, are they equipped to use a gift card as a form of payment. But it was more a resource issue for us than anything. I think that we could have done a lot better. I mean, Lorraine, your number of items is impressive. I think we had, as I said, under 40, but those were also some packages. I think we could have done a lot better if we had had more lead time, but nobody really said it's not the time.
Yeah. People are eager to do something. You know, I think whatever you come up with, whatever. And I was thinking too, we're really trying to leverage our mobile cause. It's just one of those donation platforms with campaigns, you know, and you can, so we have like some kids at Sacred Heart who were preparing to do a virtual run. And we're able to just set up anything like that through mobile cause. Just where, you know, this is your donate now tag for texting, and this is your what do you call it, QR code, and so whatever they want to do. And we're also participating in it's called the Frosty 5K. It's out of Frankfurt, and they're doing a whole online run thing, and I think they're doing better than they have. You know, I think this is the 4th or 5th one, and people, you know, they want to participate in something. They're sympathetic to, you know, that anybody can project that nonprofits are challenged, and so they said they are looking for this to be their best year yet.
So a virtual 5K, is that what they're doing?
Yeah. And on Sunday, let me think about this. I'm glad I saw this. Those beeps, by the way, are my volunteers telling me that they're working on testing the platform, and they're getting emails and things, because they're supposed to get like an email when they're outbid and all this kind of stuff. They're going a little crazy, as you can tell. So actually, we're gonna do, in my case, it'll be a walk on the 6th. At 1 p.m. in the Middletown Park. We're going to do our own version of the Frosty 5K. So that's the day it normally would happen in Frankfurt. And they always have lots of Christmas, you know, like people dress up as elves or whatever, and there's Santa Claus. So we have at least a small group that's going to walk together, socially distanced, in the Middletown Park. See how much of that 5K we can hit or run.
Are you all doing anything else for end of year? Besides, I mean, are you doing your typical letters to everyone? Please give your end of year gift. What else are you all doing for end of year?
Well, we're actually doing an extra one of those because, you know, the CARES Act's tax benefits. You want to really lean on that. So we're about to send out a letter to our top donors just about that, to our top like 1,000 donors. Okay, and
So
to
people that,
remind them that those CARES Act benefits are super generous and they go away December 31st.
and that's people that give $1,000 or more. That's who you're sending it to.
No, we're giving it to about 1,000 people who give. I forgot where the cutoff was, like 500 or more, something like that.
500 or more. Okay.
I don't know anything about that.
Me neither. I have not heard that.
Oh, no. Oh, the CARES Act has very generous tax benefits. I can send out to Jim and he can share with you. So it's basically everybody without itemizing $300, period, no matter who you are. If you itemize up to 100% of your gross adjusted income, up to 100%. And of course, you always put in there the caveat of you gotta talk with your own tax attorney, right? You don't want people playing tax attorney on their own or, you know, holding us responsible for that. But that is right language right out of the CARES Act.
Yeah, and then to follow up on that, maybe it's a topic for another conversation, but we are, because of COVID, sort of because of COVID, we're actually ramping up our direct mail campaign, which I didn't see.
Oh.
You know, if someone had told me in 2019, you know, we're going to double down on direct mail, I would have argued with that. But I would be interested in hearing what other people are doing about direct mail.
We're doing two pieces. One at the beginning of December and one December 17th.
Are you using your current list, or are you using an acquisition list with your own list? Yeah, see, we're actually moving to acquisition.
Wow.
And
how wide are you going to spread that net?
The past 2 years, we've done three drops of 2,500. And again, these are people we don't know. We're fishing for new donors with that.
What's your percentage of return, do you think?
Well, pre-COVID, it wasn't very good, but this year's returns have been, and I don't have the percentage, but it's picking up enough steam that people are, I think what's more important is the people who are transitioning from the acquisition list to being recurring donors. And I don't think that would have happened without COVID, but it has. So we're capitalizing on that.
Yeah. We really upped our game on a newsletter, and we send out a newsletter every Sunday of the world. And it is full of, you know, donate here button kind of opportunities. So we just, for example, sent out this past Sunday, you know, we're jumping into this thing in Honduras. So we're doing significant relief in Honduras. And we saw, you know, with Constant Contact, as you know, you can track your hits and all that. And people are so hungry for some kind of meaning and connection. They're like reading it, you know, and they're responding, and you know, we get lots of good response off that.
Speaking of that, Joni, I hope you get a bump. I heard about St. Mary Center on NPR this morning. Do you?
Wow.
Yeah, I can't believe they didn't tell you. So NPR is doing this new thing where you tell them something good, basically. We need good news right now. And so any listener can call in and tell a good news story. Well, this was about a dad who, did you hear that? Okay.
I didn't know that had aired yet. So that's one of our parents, Mark Sherman, who was a Marine officer in the Marine Corps. His adult daughter is one of our students. Yeah, and so we have an initiative through the State Development DDID office has a Healthy at Home initiative to do physical activity. So this dad, Mark, took it upon himself to do the walk that we just have like a sheet with 100 miles where people check off. So he actually took that out into his community in Middletown, his neighbors, and did like an informal fundraising for us, which has been great. So that was the hit on the NPR story, the field
Nice.
story. Yeah. So thank you for telling me that. I didn't know that was. He had told me that it was going to be airing, but I hadn't known that was the case. Great.
It's amazing. Congratulations. If I can just share a couple of things. We're in the church world, Sherry and I know that we're in somewhat the same, direct mail doesn't do much for church work, and door knocking is verboten now. Ring doorbells have fixed that. You end up on that neighborhoods app. Who are these creeps on my front door? Oh, it's just the Baptist again.
We call you
This is something I'm working on this week's, last week and this week. Business First has released this article at the corner of Aiken and English Station. 892 buildable lots are going in. That's 892 homes added to English Station and Aiken Road. Joni, those will be the people that won't allow you to get to work when that's under construction. And by the way, Tony Piangentini said last week in our chamber Zoom that the road developments are years away. So the development will come first and then roads will follow. And then, there's 300 apartment units going up in front of Target opening in the spring of 2022. And another 100 homes on Tucker Station, a subdivision not even laid out yet, just in the planning stages.
Where's that?
That's over toward Blackacre Farm, I think.
Oh, wow.
There it is. So this place is about to blow open. But how do we communicate with them? Direct mail doesn't work. The other thing, this is an article I've been passing around here, that Barna Group is the #1 church research group in the country. And this is a summary of some of their newest research that says when COVID is over, we're not going back to what was. We will always be in this hybrid of digital world. Zoom meetings are going to be the new forever. And so the reason I bring that here is to say, I think whatever happens after COVID, we are going to be doing virtual events for the rest of our careers. I think that's just going to be our life. And if we can find and share resources for production, I never wanted to be a televangelist. Now I are one. Every little church in the world is now a televangelist. I'm practicing saying your gifts make this broadcast possible. So, I think as nonprofits, we didn't want to be in the video production business. I think we are and are going to be for the rest of our working lives. Has anybody got any great resources for that? We've got 3 minutes left.
Well, I just want to say really quickly about the direct mail thing, because it's a bit of a misnomer now, and I have to admit I'm struggling with it. There's a reason I'm not in sales or marketing, because it gives me the heebie-jeebies, to be honest. I'm the person that I give money because I believe in something. I'm crazy like that. So it really tweaks me that I'm having this meeting with an agency tomorrow, where what they will do is on my website put cookies, and when someone goes to my website, even if they don't do anything, I'm going to get their IP address, and then in their Facebook and their Instagram and their CNN page.
Problem.
What?
You're the problem. Why I'm getting all this junk.
Yes. Because again, the research is saying that's how. So what you need, Jim, is when somebody goes to, your website, or they can even do it to something else. If their IP address shows that they go to some certain kind of website, then they start getting ads for First Baptist.
So who are you working with on this? I'm interested.
I know.
Who are you working with, Carrie? for that?
It's called High Note. They used to be Allegra.
Yeah.
It used to be a what?
Allegra printing.
Okay, High Note.
But this is the way of the future, is that you got to do this digital marketing, and it kind of makes, like I said, kind of makes my stomach turn, but it is the way of the future.
That is what I used to sell before I came to Spark Hope, with Fastline Publications. So yes, it's definitely the way of the world, and it's very it's very hard to as someone who loves events and loves conversation and loves meeting someone, to think that the only way they're going to give is through because they saw my ad on 40 different ways to get there is very hard for me to
Yeah.
wrap my
Well,
head
me too. Me too. But I gotta stop fighting City Hall sometime.
You're working with?
About it, it's a convenience too, because for me, I mean, as much of an irritation as some of those ads are, oftentimes they're a reminder to me because they have your IP address because you were expressing interest in something. So if you're getting a pop-up a day later, maybe it's just an aha, I need to get back to that organization I wanted to donate to. That's a positive spin on it.
I like you, Joni. You got a positive word on that.
I
Carrie,
do want to.
I'm anxious to know what you find out. So please share.
Harry, do you
I-
have contact now, High Note?
Karen Olson, she's just one of the senior account executives, but Karen Olson, she's been there forever.
Are
We
they
use
local?
We've
Are they
used
local?
ears for
Yeah.
print.
Oh yeah,
They're-
and it's a woman-owned company too. So
Oh,
All right, it's time. Laura, you're our executive director. You want to say anything before we set our next meeting date?
Well, I do want to add, and I'm sorry I had to unmute. So if you hear my grandfather clock in the background ringing, but I do want to let everybody know that High Note is one of our chamber members. And if you're wanting to look at a direct mail campaign, Minuteman Press has a very impressive direct mail campaign. Phil Lockhart, they are also another one of our chamber members, and he would be more than happy to sit down and talk with you about the direct mail campaign. Very, very impressive on what he has to offer. So,
great.
I just want to remind everybody that we right now are doing a drive-through food pantry drive for our nonprofits that have pantries that need stocking, including our little blessings box there in the First Baptist Church parking lot. So if anybody has anything that they would like to swing by, I'll be sitting on the tailgate of my vehicle tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, just because it's going to be a pretty day. So come by and see me anytime between 11:30 and 1. I have already had a couple of people give me a cash option because they just don't have time to go to the store. So they brought me cash, and I said, cash works anytime.
Great.
We are having our different affinity group Zoom meetings, of course, the one today. We do have a board meeting coming up Thursday, as well as our e-commerce and social media affinity group meeting Thursday. So if you would like to participate in that, let me know. We're learning a lot of things about Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and QR codes and you name it. It's very wonderful information.
Great. Thank you, Laura. If we follow our pattern, our next meeting will be December 15 on Tuesday. Does that work? 12 to 1? We're trying to cut it off right at 1. We're about 3 minutes over today, but if that's, I think, a very valuable conversation. These are new resources that I'm an old guy and I need to learn. So thank you all. Have a blessed Thanksgiving.
Thanks.
Pray that you stay well, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.